On behalf of Freedom Convoy USA 2022, we are asking you to end the state of emergency, end the mandates once and for all. Sir, the world is watching us because they know that if what's happening in Canada happens to us here in the land of the free, then freedom as we know it is gone.
That's one of the main organizers of the Freedom Convoy USA 2022, Kyle Sefcik, called out Joe Biden to end the China virus national emergency in the U.S., along with all the current mandates. Part of one of the 3 known trucker convoys with tens of thousands of people taking part, heading to our nation's capital the day of or immediately following Joe Biden's State of the Union address on March 1st. They're going to get there to exercise their First Amendment rights, my friends. Joining me now is truck owner and operator at TransUnited, Niels Mortensen, along with the host of the Biker Dad TV and president of Biker Dad Productions, Chris Best. Gentlemen, welcome to you both. Niels, there are 3 convoys that were inspired by the Freedom Trucker Convoy that was just brutally put down by Canada's dictator, Justin Trudeau. Many fear that the same caliber of people who are in charge up in Canada are in charge here in the United States. Why are you riding there, and do you fear a totalitarian response?
Well, it's really hard to going to do. First and foremost, this is not a convoy that you're going to see burning cities or looting or beating people or anything like that. First and foremost, peaceful. We're just all getting together, heading to D.C. to say, hey, instead of taking our freedoms away, give us our freedoms back. That's all it is.
Right, and they never had the right, honestly, they never had the right to take your freedoms away from you to begin with, according to the Constitution. Mr. Best, you are organizing a biker rally known as the Mother Truckin' Freedom Rally that is set to begin on March 5th. New poll came out saying that 65% of Democrats have turned their backs on being Americans, rejecting the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, which protects peaceful assembly and free speech. If a majority of Democrats reject your right to protest, are you concerned that they would harm you and other protesters the way Trudeau's government did their citizens?
Well, I'm not worried about anybody harming a group of 2,000 bikers. I mean, you don't show up to a biker rally and think that you're going to get away with anything like that. But what I do want to say about our event is this is not a political event. This is a red, white, and blue, wave the flag, red, white, blue, and chrome, and we're going to get together and talk about America and freedom, and we're going to do it on motorcycles because what's more free than being on a motorcycle? And I don't think this is a political issue because the Bill of Rights should not be a divisive political issue. It's set in stone. It is what it is. The First Amendment. Chris, you and I go way back as journalists, and the First Amendment is a big part of what we've done our entire careers, and that's what this is all about, is the First Amendment and all the other amendments. It's about freedom.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Yeah, I'm right there with you. The First Amendment is something that's part of our mutual compact, the Constitution. But as I said, 65% of Democrats now reject that. Niels, same question to you. With polling showing that 65% of Democrats now reject your constitutional rights, my constitutional rights of free speech articulated in that First Amendment, and therefore embrace the totalitarianism and lawlessness of the left, is your audience for this protest going to be the timid Republicans, the independents, and the 35% of Democrats who don't reject America's founding principles?
Well, I think I'll welcome those 65% with open arms. They're under the same mandates we are. And I don't know where they are. I guess if they voted for Joe, they're pretty quiet right now. I agree with Chris. It's not a political movement. It's not a political statement. It's a statement for everybody. We want our God-given freedoms back. We want to end the mandates. It's not anti-vax. You know, I've heard so many things about anti-vax. That's not what it is. It's pro-freedom and pro-freedom only, and peaceful pro-freedom.
Yep. Last question, Mr. Best. BLM and Antifa, they were allowed to rampage through our streets, looting, burning, beating, killing folks, with the full blessings of the biased press. Do you expect your peaceful protest will be given the same kid glove treatment?
Well, I would just say again that go back to the Constitution. Supporting peaceful protest is part of being an American, And everybody should do that, whether you agree with the side or not. If you disagreed with Black Lives Matter and they had peaceful protests, then you're a hypocrite. If you disagree with peaceful protests from bikers and truckers, but you agreed with the Black Lives Matter peaceful protests, then you're a hypocrite. And the last thing that I want to be connected to is hypocrites. And I would also, again, say my event is also not an anti-vax event, just to be clear. I'm vaccinated, I'm boosted, I'll get another booster if I can, and I suggest that people do get vaccines. It may not be a very popular idea with this audience, but I believe in vaccines, but I don't believe in government overreach, and I think we've got to a point where everybody can agree that that's what's happening right now. Why does somebody who sits in a box by themselves 12 or 14 hours have to have a mandated vaccine when other people don't? Probably the safest job in the world to have right now. And what is the point? Especially when we have these supply chain issues. I'm here in Las Vegas right now where some places you can't get certain things on the buffet. There's a restaurant right behind me that's closed, probably because they can't get stuff. Why are we discouraging truckers from going to work and just doing their jobs and being free?
Amen to that. You know, there are some unintelligent people in this country. Many of them occupy left-wing cable channels who are saying if you are advocating for medical freedom, which is what we're advocating for, that you're somehow anti-vax, and nothing could be further from the truth. Chris Best, Niels Mortensen, gentlemen, good luck to you. Keep us posted. Thanks again.